welcome back to the Stone House. Jay and Leanne here at Stone House History, and today we're bringing to you a video about some 18th century herbals and herbal gardens. You can see we're here at the Stone House Garden, and we have quite a bit of things happening and blooming. So here we are in our 18th century garden. It doesn't look like the standard English 18th century garden. They were very structured and organized. They had paths that you could wander through. Everything had its place and was very proper and trimmed looking. So you can see the biggest difference between that and ours is that ours is more free-flowing. Every year you do end up having to replace or cut back or replenish different herbs in your garden, whether it's an actual herb or it's a vegetable. There's a cycle, and so we have here our newest garden bed. And again, this is our kitchen garden. So the first thing we have here is some tarragon, which is a really wonderful herb. I absolutely have fallen in love with it in the last couple years. It was relatively unknown to me before that. Over across from that, we have some basil. My basil is really short, and that's because this year we had some snow about 2 weeks ago, and the basil did not like that at all. So I had to cut it back way down because I thought it died, and it actually did survive. It's just stunted quite significantly. So I'm hoping that it perks back up with the weather that we're having. Behind the basil, I have some borage. And then across from the borage here, I have some parsley. Everybody knows what parsley is. It's pretty much an ornamental at this point for most culinaries. You put it on the side of your dish just to give it a little bit of green pop. But I absolutely love parsley for more than just that pop of color or that topping on your cassoulet. In the back corner, we have some horehound. And then back here, which is kind of wilty because it's really toasty today, is some chamomile. Again, I'll go over everything that I use these herbs for. This is just what's in this particular garden bed. If you look over here to this side, again, I told you my plants just kind of do what they want to do because that's plants. This is oregano, and oregano is a really wonderful plant. This particular one will bloom anywhere, so if you need oregano, please let me know. I'm happy to give you some at any point throughout the year. Behind oregano, I have some sage. It's a wonderful cooking herb. It's a wonderful cleaning herb. It's a wonderful overall multi-purpose. I love it. It's not my favorite, but it's top 3. And then I don't know if you can see back behind so well or not, but we have some dill. And again, dill is a really wonderful cooking herb. And in the back corner, we have some stevia. Stevia was not an 18th century herb, but it's a sweetener, and we enjoy it for that quality, so I definitely grow it every year. And then, if you look right behind me in these little itty-bitty jars, I'll bring them forward. We have some cuttings. Again, oregano. If you want it, please let me know. Here I have some lemon balm, a cutting from earlier at one of our other plant gardens. And then in this one, which has been home to a couple bumblebees, we have a lavender sprout and some rosemary sprouting. We're trying to root them so that we can take these and pot them in littler plants like the lemon balm. So here we're in a different part of our garden, and it's actually the oldest part of our garden. We planted this probably the year before we started Stone House History, just to give you an idea as to time frame and what plants do over long term instead of looking like little babies. I'm going to start over here. We have some lavandula. I'll talk a little bit more about that one. For us, this is more ornamental. We don't really cook with this one. We don't really dye with this one. This is one that we planted because the bees really like it, and it smells amazing. In front of it, we have English lavender. We do cook with that. We do use that particular herb for many different things, probably the same as you. Or if not, maybe you'll start, because it's definitely one of those herbs that everybody should know about. Sandwiched over in the corner in that little pot, we have some purslane. One of the things that this particular garden is like I said, it's a kitchen garden, and while you can eat purslane, because of our puppy, who's not so much a puppy anymore, we don't really have a yard that functions for natural weed growth. So when I do find some in our yard, I typically try to put it into a pot and bring it into here where she can't get, so that way when she's running she doesn't break it up and let me not have that particular herb for whatever I might want it for. Here in this particular pot, we have some sweet woodruff. In the 18th century, it was used medicinally. It was not used for cooking, but it was also used because of its wonderful fragrance. So it's a partly shady plant. You can see here it's a little wilty because of the heat and the sun, but it does get a lot of shade from our big maple tree, so it's been doing pretty good. But that we're growing specifically for ground cover, for our patio area, but also because we want it for the smell. Here on this side of me, I have some thyme. And on this side of me, I have rosemary. And these are our two oldest and most hardy plants. You can kind of see we had to cut back a significant portion of this particular plant this year, which is why I'm sitting where I'm sitting. But it is coming back, and it really seems to be enjoying the fact that we cut a significant part. And this one, if you look over here, we do have some really nice blooms coming in, and it'll bloom the whole plant. It turns this wonderful blue purple color, but again, we'll talk more about each plant a little bit later. Back behind me, I have some, sorry there plant, I have some bay laurel. It's used for cooking. You dry the leaves, or you can use them fresh. And I use them predominantly in bean soup or anything with ham because it gives it an extra wonderful flavor. And then again, just to reiterate, I have a little baby lemon balm here. Typically lemon balm grows up to 24 to 36 inches high. Because of where we keep it in our shaded part of our yard, it never gets more than about a foot tall. So this year was the first year we could really propagate it, and so we're kind of experimenting a little bit, and this one seems to be doing really well where it's at, so hopefully I can put it into a bigger pot. So now we're outside of the garden, we're in the backyard. Piper, our pup, has free reign of this area, and you can see that she loves to run, so she's got her little running pack here, which is why we have the fenced part of our garden. If you look over on this side, we don't have a lot of grass over here. That's purposeful. In the 18th century, they had a lot of herbs and plants that they used every day or as needed, and they had wonderful uses that were better than grass. So I'm going to point them out to you, that way you know what they look like, and if you'd like, you can not mow your grass and let them grow, or you can try to cultivate that instead of the grass. The first one I'm going to point out is this one here. This is nettle. There are several varieties of nettle, and this one is just past its bloom, so you can see it has some pink lavender color on it, but it has a little bit more color if I had filmed this about a week ago. Beside the nettle, we have some little baby lamb's ear. Lamb's ear is not an 18th century specific herb, but this is a wonderful ground cover if you do need ground cover. It is like the most prolific I've ever seen in my life, and it's used for nature's band-aid. And I say that, but I'm not joking at all. If you cut your finger, the leaves are so absorbent they will actually act like an actual band-aid and stop the flow of blood, which helps you to heal. It does not actually kill any germs or remove any bacteria, so you do have to make sure you're cleaning the wound very thoroughly. But I love lamb's ear for what it does, and anybody who does 18th century should know about this herb, even though it's not from the 18th century. Over here, I have the remainings of some dandelion mixed in with some clovers. Dandelions don't do very well in our yard because our dog loves them. So she sees them and she, for whatever reason, decides to just pluck them, and I find the heads everywhere. I never find the actual plants, and they don't really spread because she takes the leaves or the flowers right off. But that is a dandelion flower. And then tucked in right next to the dandelion right here, we have some plantain. And this is broadleaf plantain. There are two varieties. There's the broadleaf kind, which is rather wide, and this is a very small version. They can get pretty big. And then there's the narrow leaf plantain, which when they're full grown, the leaves are pretty skinny, like that of my pinky finger. If we pan over here, you can see full-grown full-grown lamb's ear about to bloom. Here is one of the blooms. I'm just going to bend it a little bit for you. And what will happen is right in here, a stalk will grow nice and tall, about 12 inches, and then every couple of days, different purple flowers will bloom, and it stacks. So the bees love this plant, which is another reason why I keep it. And then we have a little patch again of some nettle. Behind the nettle, we also have some Creeping Charlie. And Creeping Charlie, along with dandelion, make for great early spring salads. Thank you for visiting Stone House today. I hope you enjoyed the video about our garden, and we're planning on bringing to you several more, so keep a lookout for them about the uses and how to grow them on your own. We also plan on going to different sites that we visit periodically throughout the year, so be on the lookout for those as well. Thank you!